No more faceless narrator this time around. I'm going to face the camera.
You have no idea how dangerous you are. This is chaos magic, Wanda. And that makes you the Scarlet Witch.
Hey everybody, this is TJR with my thoughts on episode 8 of WandaVision, entitled Previously On. Now, one of the things I enjoy about a streaming series like this that is not bingeable from the start, where you have to wait a week between episodes, is the chance to really think it over and the fun of thinking what might happen in the next episode. Prior to watching this episode, I was expecting that it would open with an extended sequence of Wanda breaking into SWORD headquarters and stealing Vision. Instead, it opened in the 1600s with Agatha Harkness as the victim of a witch hunt. And just as I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, why doesn't she just use her powers to fight back? I realized that this is a witch hunt from her fellow witches. We see Agatha defy her fellow witches, and we actually see her kill her own mother, which is pretty harsh. And then we switch to the present day, and then we start to find out what was Agatha's endgame. So in this episode, Agatha forces Wanda to walk through a series of past memories. And as we do this, a lot more of the puzzle starts to come together. We find out why sitcoms? What part did they play in her past? And in doing so, we find out exactly how she and her brother, Pietro, lost their parents. And we get a more detailed look at her origin story and how she got her powers. I have to admit, I became emotional during the memory flashback scene with her and Vision watching the sitcom Malcolm in the Middle together at Avengers headquarters in a scene that was taking place not too long after the events of Age of Ultron, not too long after she lost Pietro. And over the weeks that this show has been on, it has occurred to me that I've always taken the relationship between Vision and Wanda for granted. It's just something that I have known from decades of being a comic book fan. But as I look back on the MCU films, I realize that till now, we haven't really had much backstory on how this unlikely relationship began. I have always known that Wanda and Vision are in love because that's their relationship in the comics. And I'm sure their romance was chronicled somewhere in the over 50 plus years of Marvel Comics history, but I've probably never read those stories. But in this one scene, we get to see the beginnings of that relationship. And through these memory walkthroughs, we do eventually see Wanda enter SWORD headquarters like I thought we would, but it's not the version that we saw in episode 5. It turns out Director Hayward was selective in what security camera footage he showed, and that he created a narrative of Wanda breaking in and stealing Vision that ended up being a lie. Something that gets confirmed in the episode's after credit scene. Instead, she was allowed entrance into SWORD, and after losing her cool, something we can't blame her for since Director Hayward said something particularly assy to her, she confronts the fact that Vision is truly dead, and that there is nothing left of his sentience or his soul, however you want to define it, and that she then leaves very quietly. So yeah, Wanda never stole Vision. Now the story picks up with Wanda driving through the small town of Westview for the first time, where she visits a piece of property that Vision apparently bought for both of them before his death in Avengers Endgame, a place where they could settle down and grow old together in. And I honestly became emotional again as Wanda experienced this huge psychic gasp of grief that recreates the small town of Westview into a black and white image of a sitcom. This scene was just really powerful. How often in our lives have we wished that we could just erase the trauma of loss from our past and just make it all a bad dream? As I look back on this show's reoccurring themes of loss, Monica Rambeau's loss and Wanda's loss, and the theme of having to own your own truth, the truth of that loss. I can't help but feel that this was one of the most powerful moments in the MCU canon. So now we know that it was Wanda who created Westview out of grief, and that Agatha is only trying to figure out how she did it. That Wanda is more powerful than anyone ever realized, and that even Agatha thinks that Wanda is dangerous. So we have one episode left. If I were to place a guess right now, I would think that Wanda's story arc needs to be completed. She needs to own her truth, confront her grief. And I think that she is going to have to destroy this version of Vision that Director Hayward has reactivated. And that by confronting this, I'm going to guess, false version of Vision, that she is going to have to confront that truth, that Vision is dead, that there's no going back, and that she has to move on. And she's going to have to destroy this version. But we'll see what really happens. That's my guess. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. As always, if you like what I do, be sure to click a like, click subscribe, share these videos on your social media with your friends. Everybody, thank you for watching, and looking forward to the last episode. Bye-bye.